SCP-3293. Object Class, Keter. Special Containment Procedures. SCP-3293 is kept in a standard humanoid containment cell. Due to a history of non-compliance and the nature of its anomaly, SCP-3293 has not been given any standard amenities. SCP-3293 is to be kept under constant surveillance, and a search of the containment unit must be conducted daily. Approved researchers are encouraged to visit SCP-3293 to enforce compliance and maintain a high morale. Any discovered instances of SCP-3293-A must be confiscated and reported to Dr. Isles. Previous instances of SCP-3293-A can be found in Room 502 in Anomalous Items Wing. Any personnel who intend to conduct research on SCP-3293-A instances must obtain permission from Dr. Isles. Current containment procedures are under review and may be subject to change after approval from the Ethics Committee. Updated containment procedures. SCP-3293 has been neutralized. See Addendum 3293.4 for details. The original Wells household in Columbus, Ohio is to remain under constant surveillance. TTT. Description: SCP-3293 was a 6-year-old Caucasian human male, formerly Cooper Wells of Columbus, Ohio, USA. SCP-3293's anomalous effects manifested in its ability to create complex and inexplicable machinery and technology out of mundane objects, seemingly at will. SCP-3293 was categorized as a Class II reality-altering entity, with the scope of its abilities being limited to its direct surroundings. 1. SCP-3293 did not appear to be aware of the anomalous nature of its abilities, nor its origins. SCP-3293 had a limited grasp of actual scientific and technological constructs and did not perceive its abilities as anomalous. Instead, SCP-3293's imaginative jargon for various objects and their purposes appeared to manifest into actuality, allowing SCP-3293 to create devices that functioned for their design despite their construction. SCP-3293 was prone to containment breaches, as it was capable of easily creating technology allowing it to teleport vast distances with little resources. However, due to SCP-3293's tendency to always attempt to return to the home of its parents, it was easily recontained in nearly every instance. For additional information, see Addendum 3293.3, Addendum 3293.1, Discovery. SCP-3293 was discovered when embedded Foundation agents within the Ohio State University faculty reported unusual and inexplicably high levels of radiation centered on a small Columbus suburb. This, coupled with an unexplained energy feedback from one specific home, allowed agents to quickly find and apprehend SCP-32932, Addendum 3293.2, Interview. Note: the following interview was conducted shortly after initial containment, before permanent containment procedures were developed. During this interview, SCP-3293 was under the impression that it was at a children's daycare facility. Begin log. Dr. Isles: hey buddy, how are you? SCP-3293: look Ms. Lady, I made a TV. SCP-3293 produces a dry erase board propped up with a piece of cardboard, to which are taped several short pieces of red yarn attached to a Foundation-supplied toothbrush. When SCP-3293 manipulates the toothbrush, the device functions like a television. Device is later collected for study. Dr. Isles: wow Cooper, that's so cool. How did you make it? SCP-3293: I take the wire here, and connected it to the, well not the long wire but the short wire cause I didn't have any long wire, but I connected it to the Moki Trawl 3 and turned it on. Dr. Isles: that's so good buddy. What are you watching today? SCP-3293: I'm watching Gumball. Dr. Isles: I see, cool. So Cooper, can you tell me about the thing you made the other day? SCP-3293 laughs. The banana just splatted on the ground, Dr. Isles, I see that, yeah. But hey, what about the thing you made the other day, huh? What does it do? SCP-3293, oh, that's a cookie bringer for. I thought, maybe I just want a cookie, so I made a cookie looker and plugged it into a thing bringer and made a cookie bringer. But then when the Mr. Guy came, he took the cookie bringer away, Dr. Isles, alright. But Cooper, I want to know, SCP-3293, do you know Mr. Guy? If he give it back I will you a cookie when I get it back. Mr. Guy can have one too, Dr. Isles, right, but how did you make the cookie bringer, Cooper? SCP-3293, huh, Dr. Isles, well, you know that you can't just make a cookie out of socks and a lot, SCP-3293, no, it was a cookie finder, and then I plugged it into the thing bringer, Dr. Isles, but, it didn't even have a power source, buddy, SCP-3293, oh yeah, I forgot to add the batteries. Just add batteries and then it will be I think a cookie bringer, but more cookies, and log, Addendum 3293.3, Containment breaches, on several different occasions, SCP-3293 was able to breach containment, either by creating a device to teleport out of Site-81, or by creating a device to brute force through security measures installed at the site. These devices included an invisibility hat, a shrink gun, a warp blanket, and a tunnel shoe, among others. However, after each breach of containment, SCP-3293 would attempt to return to the home of its parents, Dave and Kathy Wells. The Ethics Committee initially approved of the proposal of Dr. Isles to recruit Mr. and Mrs. Wells as E-Class personnel, in order to facilitate with containment, with the Wells under the impression that SCP-3293 is currently quarantined for a rare disease. Initially this led to a total cessation of containment breach attempts in the first 3 months of recruitment. However, on February 14, 18, the E-Class personnel convinced SCP-3293 to attempt to breach containment, citing paranoia and boredom in post-breach interrogations as reasons for this attempt. The Ethics Committee overruled the proposal to immediately execute the E-Class personnel and instead opted to amnestize Mr. and Mrs. Wells 5 and relocate them with false identities and memories. While this led to higher breach attempts, SCP-3293 still followed the initial breach pattern to attempt to return to the Wells household. Because of this pattern of behavior, SCP-3293 was usually easily sedated and recontained. Eventually SCP-3293 began creating devices that allowed him to locate and travel anomalously to his parents, though they did not recognize him and usually immediately alerted Foundation personnel embedded in the local police. After several attempts that resulted in his being turned over to the authorities by the amnesticized Mr. and Mrs. Wells, SCP-3293's emotional state began to severely deteriorate. This was exacerbated by extended containment, specifically after protocols restricting its access to any objects it could use to create anomalous technology with. Eventually, SCP-3293 grew withdrawn and hostile towards Foundation staff, and had to be sedated for feedings and sleep, among others. Dr. Osterman, as previous containment breach indicates, SCP-3293 poses significant risks to personnel involved in its containment. It has proven incapable of adjusting to its environment and will now attack any personnel who enter its chamber with makeshift weapons, until such time that SCP-3293 can be transported to a high-security Keter-class containment ward. I propose to amend the current special containment procedures, both to minimize the risk of containment breaches, as well as maintain a steady mental state through constant sedation without neutralizing the subject. Special containment procedures. SCP-3293 is to be contained within a soundproof, modified humanoid containment cell at Site-81. The cell must be devoid of any objects, including living accommodations and all forms of entertainment. SCP-3293 is not to be provided any clothing or other personal items, and must be restrained, thrice daily. SCP-3293 is to be given appropriate food rations fed via feeding tube while sedated. Individuals entering SCP-3293's containment cell and administering the sedation must do so quickly, to avoid any contact between SCP-3293 and any equipment used to sedate SCP-32936. All individuals entering and leaving the containment unit must ascertain the location of all equipment to prevent material being left for SCP-3293 to manipulate. Addendum 3293.4, Neutralization. On the 17th of June, 2018, during a routine checkup, SCP-3293 hid behind the door of its containment cell as personnel entered to sedate it, and attacked the staff members. Using a ring of keys taken from one of the personnel members, SCP-3293 quickly created a makeshift taser and knocked out both staff members. In a disoriented and distressed panic, SCP-3293 attempted to quickly create a device allowing it to escape containment. Audio equipment within the containment cell recorded SCP-3293 repeating the words "go home" while it worked. However, whether by design or on accident, the resulting device began to hum excessively and glow brightly, resulting in a significant structural change in SCP-3293. The entity's limbs began to increase rapidly in length, breaking in several places as its features became severely distorted. Its skin began to slough off in several large sections, and its eyes began to bulge considerably and fill with blood. Its jaw sagged considerably and it seemed no longer capable of closing its mouth, its words becoming unintelligible noises. This entity was accosted by the now conscious members of the containment staff, who managed to back the clearly panicked entity into a corner. Before additional containment personnel could enter the chamber, the device SCP-3293 had created exploded violently, killing SCP-3293 and both members of staff attending to it. The bodies of the two containment personnel were interred per Foundation protocol, while the corpse of the SCP-3293 entity was incinerated after dissection 7. Afterwards, SCP-3293 was reclassified as neutralized. Addendum 3293.5, Collected Anomalous Devices, Classification ID, Description, Purpose. Location of Recovery, 3293A1, Easy Bake Oven attached to crude thorium reactor, constructed primarily out of empty tin cans, a flashlight, and an otherwise non-functioning laptop computer, a toaster created to manifest snacks for SCP-3293, Site of Initial Containment, 3293A4, a plastic bendy straw taped to an empty matchbox, acts like a handheld cellular phone. Site of Initial Containment, 3293A6, a pair of cotton socks wrapped around a standard issue bedside lamp, materializes cookies. Containment Cell, 3293A9, 3 steel bed springs tied together with shoelaces, affixed to a towel and worn on the head. Teleporting device. Containment Cell, 3293A14, standard issue slip-on sandals attached to the end of a mop handle. End of the sandal is razor sharp, a shoveling device, seemingly capable of digging through any substance. Containment Cell, 3293A21, a plastic spoon tied to a styrofoam cup, similar to 3293A4, but can only make calls to SCP-3293's Site of Initial Containment 8. Containment Cell, 3293A22, Unknown Destroyed Object 9, artifact seems to neutralize the effects of amnestics on human subjects. Becomes inert roughly 5 hours after neutralization of SCP-329310, Containment Cell. Footnotes, 1. Additionally, SCP-3293 appeared to be limited by size of the object as well. That is to say, while SCP-3293 could anomalously influence a cup or an article of clothing, it could not do the same to a room or a building. 2. The device, which agents collected for study during initial containment of SCP-3293, appeared to be a thorium reactor attached to a toy oven, which SCP-3293 referred to as its toaster. The origin of the thorium is unknown, and the reactor seemed to be fashioned out of a red coffee mug and aluminum foil. The device was capable of manifesting an assortment of foodstuffs at will, but was noted for having been primarily used to create macaroni and cheese. 3. Remote control. 4. SCP-3293 and Dr. Isles refer to a device SCP-3293 has previously constructed out of a pair of socks and a desk lamp, which allowed it to materialize a chocolate chip cookie when activated. 5. Attempts to do the same with SCP-3293 have been unsuccessful. 6. Preliminary tests of this protocol have proved efficient. However, should SCP-3293 become capable of interacting with personnel before being sedated, secondary protocols utilizing unclothed personnel for restraint are to be enacted. 7. The interior structure of SCP-3293 was genetically identical to SCP-3293 prior to the incident, and while all major organs and musculoskeletal structures were intact, all showed signs of significant deterioration and distortion. 8. Due to possibility of breach of sensitive information, safeguards established to block calls coming from 3293-821 at the home. 9. Object was destroyed during explosion that killed SCP-3293, though its anomalous effects persisted for a short period of time after neutralization. 10. Why this device initially activated in the way that it did, and why it created the biological change in SCP-3293, is currently unknown.